Greetings, everybody. This is Paul Cranley from Sirius Software. Today's topic that we're going to talk about is using the Explorer function in the control to find companies, estimates, orders, and several other things that you're searching for. So it's the Explorer is the searching mechanism in control. I need to change my screen here so that we can look at control, and then we can get underway. So how to begin a search? Well, searching to find things involves the use of the function, as I said, called Explorer. Now you can access or use Explorer either from the home screen navigator in this case, or from the taskbar. And then if you pull the downward arrow, this represents all of the different things that you can search for. I just mentioned orders and estimates in companies and contacts, but you can see there's a large number of other things that you can search for. So the contacts, payments, and histories, you can search for them, but they're probably not going to be used as frequently as some of the others. So to start the search, you can go up here to Explore and then choose what it is that you want to search for. So I'm going to choose company to kind of illustrate. What's really important to understand is that all of the different searches, whether it's a company or contacts or estimates or orders, they all have search criteria. That is this list of things here. And they're going to have what are referred to as display filters. So what you see here is unique to a company search. If we change the search to an order, you got slightly different criteria, and the display filters are completely different. So in this case, the criteria or the filters are based on the status of, in this case, orders. If we're looking at exploring estimates, then the filters would be based on the statuses related to estimates themselves. So let's go back to company. The other thing that's important to kind of understand is that if I just begin to type the letter A, say I'm searching for a particular company. Now it's really very obvious here because I don't have that many companies in this test database. But if I did, I was looking for a company that started with the letter A. Now notice that there weren't any, okay? So if I come back and change this to test in, I didn't type the letter, test. Now it deleted, or not deleted, but it hid anything that did not start with a T. Now, as I begin to continue typing, I just typed the word test and then a space. So if I type the letter C now, it narrowed it down, in this case, to this one company. So the takeaway here is that as you're beginning to enter the search criteria, just simply begin to type what it is that you're looking for. And the system is continuously searching and narrowing down the possibilities that meet that set of criteria as you progress along the entry process. So if this accomplished what I wanted, now I look down here at the filters. And in the case of company filters, they are based on, does this company have open estimates? Do they have open orders? Are they inactive, meaning that they're no longer either in business or that you're no longer doing business with them? Are they a client? Are they a prospect? Now, the difference between these two is important to understand. When you first enter a company into the database, the system is going to treat it as a prospect. And that means that they don't have orders and they don't have estimates. Once they have an estimate or an order, then they're considered to be a client and no longer a prospect. A company can also be a vendor. They can be just a person, or that you simply don't have them classified. Now, a company can be both a client and a vendor. So as a client, you're selling goods or services to them. And if they're a vendor to you, you're buying goods, raw goods probably, or services from the company. Now, the items up here, do they have open estimates? Is that what you want to see? They have open orders. That's what you want to see. Or you want to include inactive. So if you wanted to see everything, you would put a check mark on all three. And if I got rid of this, now in my case, it's really simple. It's going to come back and give me everything. If I wanted to see prospects too, then I'd put another check mark in there. If I wanted to see vendors, I'd put another check mark in. Again, mine's not changing simply because I don't have sufficient number of unique clients or vendors to work with. So the filters differ dramatically based on what it is that you're searching for. Let's go back now and look at orders. So if you know the order number that you're looking for, just simply type it in. Say I want 1050. Got too many zeros in there. 1050. Now it's going to find that particular order. Okay. You can do that by company. You can find an order by entering the company in addition to the order or in lieu of the orders. Okay. So if I wanted to see orders of this one called Test Company, this is the list of orders, for that particular company. These are the ones that the most likely that you're going to use, the top 3 or 4. Now when you get down into the filters, these vary quite a bit. This, as I said, represents the status that you see here. And I've said I only want to see orders that are in work in process. But if I was also interested in items that are built that have not yet resulted in an order, then I would put a check mark by built. And here are 2 orders that are in the built status that are there. If I wanted to see sales, these are the ones that have been delivered. The customer has possession of the finished goods, either because you shipped them, you delivered them, they came and picked them up. But again, this represents those that are in WIP and in build and in sale. So if I don't want to see anything but those that are in sale status, meaning that they owe you money, you got outstanding balances up here for these, then that's what you would search for. And then closed orders, ones that have been, when the customer has paid the order in full and they've taken possession of the finished goods, then the status of that becomes closed. That means the customer's happy, they've got the signage, you're happy because you have your money. Then you can enter a time frame. You can either use one of the standard time frames, look at everything, put in a custom start and end date, etc. So if we wanted to see everything, really didn't change that much on this particular item up here. If we switch now to estimates, it's going to look very much the same, but the filters down here are going to be different. Up here, you can either enter the test company or the estimate number and see all of them, or you can enter the company and see the estimates for that particular company. Now, when you get down into the filters, now you're talking about the statuses as they are defined for estimates. So a new estimate is going to begin its life in pending status. Hopefully, the next status that it will go to is converted, meaning that it has been converted from an estimate to an order. Lost and void are very similar and are oftentimes used interchangeably. But I point out that lost generally should be viewed as the customer that you prepared the estimate for has made a decision that they're not going to proceed, either because of cost or they decided not to do the project, but it's the customer's initiative to advise you that they're not going to do this particular project. Voided, on the other hand, you're going to find that there are times that you create a quote for an estimate for somebody, and you'll work that estimate, continue to follow up with them, and you just simply can't get a decision one way or the other. In that case, you may choose to mark a particular estimate as voided after you've come to the conclusion that that project is not going to go forward. So they're very similar to each other. So if we want to see the ones that are in lost status, and you can see that I've marked some lost. If I wanted to see those that I've marked as voided, let's take the pending off. Now we're looking just at voided and lost. And if I wanted to see just the converted ones, that's what I'm seeing here. Again, you have the same date reference, but they work, the search for an estimate and a search for an order work very much the same way, except that one is based on its set of statuses and the other has a different set of statuses. Over here to the right, notice all the columns that are here. This is what you see in your system is pretty much will be the way it was sent to you. But if there are fields in here that you don't want to see, they're not relevant to you, then you can do a right mouse click, not right mouse click, but take this, say you don't want this particular column. Just select it and drag it up out of the way. If you don't want to see this one, just drag it up out of the way. The reverse of that is true as well. If I want to add a column, I can right click in this heading area and come down to column chooser, and I can add those fields back. This was one of them. And I would just simply select it and drag it up to wherever I wanted to see that. Okay. I could do the same thing for the other if I wanted to. My point is that no matter what it is that you're searching for, whether it's companies or estimates or orders or any of the others, you can modify how that is going to look over here to the right by either removing an entry from the screen or adding one. Now I'm going to go back just briefly to viewing orders, and I want to draw your attention to this one that's called associated orders. Again, this feature is relatively new. It was part of some system update version 6.1 and newer. And this gives you a means of linking related orders together. So notice here that the order number is on the left. And notice over here in this column here, I'm saying that 1077, order number 1077, is related to or associated with 1066. I can open this one and go to the totals tab. And this is where I can make that kind of association. I'm just going to edit that. And choose down here. And I'm going to come down to 1066. And now if I go back and look at the orders here, I've got one that's at 1066. I need to refresh this a little bit. Maybe it was already, I better look and see if it was already associated with a different status here, just a second. Well, I don't see it, but you can associate an order up to 5 orders together, okay? Now, how you use those, it's really there is a simple means of grouping. The intent long-term is for that to be able to relate to some reporting, where you can report some of those that are associated together. But for right now, it's very minimal. It's just a means of that you can perhaps conceive that would allow you to group some things together. Now, I want to open any order here. And I want to point out that I mentioned it earlier in another session, that the action toolbar will vary depending on what it is that you're doing. So in this case, I've got an order, number 1074, that's open. And it's going to allow me to, I go over to that. It's going to allow, it's in a mode where it can be edited. So if I save it, I've got to change the date here just a second. Put in a reason, just some notes. Now, if I look at the action toolbar with the left and right arrows, I can go forward or backwards. I can say I need to edit this. I need to clock into it from a production standpoint. I want to mark it as voided. I want to duplicate it. I want to print it, et cetera, et cetera. So the action toolbar that I mentioned in an earlier session will vary depending on what it is that you're doing. So the key takeaways for this particular webinar are that searches are made by use of the Explorer function, and under the Explorer you have search criteria that's going to vary quite a bit. There's some similarities, but they're going to vary from one type of item to the other. And then another feature that I haven't alluded to, but I want to step back and do that because it's important. And that is what's called the Sub Explorer. So I'm going to change this to View Companies. And if I go clear to the bottom left of the screen, this light blue is the Sub Explorer. And I can say, I want to see estimates related to a particular company. So if I'm searching for a company and I want to see the estimates that that company has, I chose this one's checked. So it says I'm looking at this particular company, and these are the three estimates that exist for that company. If I look at a different one, different company, now I'm seeing the ones for that particular company. It's a means of finding things probably in a more efficient manner that I think is very helpful to understand. So again, the SubExplorer is a feature that can be very valuable from a productivity standpoint. That ends this particular topic. I hope it's been helpful, and there are 4 or 5 other topics that we'll be discussing in subsequent sessions. Take care and have a great day.